Hello once again. How you doing out there? Haven't did a video on this topic in a while, and I thought I'd make another video that was very interesting on this situation with our Umar Johnson. And this time I'm coming from a perspective of people who's trying to defend him and why they want to defend him. You know, some people just like people who wanted to defend, you know, Margaret Sanger. I'm just going to give that as an example. And I know this is kind of drastic what I'm about to say. They'll say that Margaret Sanger is a good woman's rights, but when you paint the narrative that Margaret Sanger was for abortion and she targeted certain people, and people will get automatically they will get upset at you. You got some people that no matter what they're going to defend someone who is, let's say, a racist, and some people feel like whether it's Biden or it's Trump, they're going to find some reason to defend that person and saying, well, you took their words out of their mouth, and they really, what I learned about people is people don't really listen to people. They listen what they want to hear, and they have what they call selective hearing. And they no matter what. Now this situation with Umar Johnson, and like people from all walks of life point this out. It took 10 years for him to gather up this money. And finally he purchased a building. But now people are not really listening to say he's coming back, and I guess I need more donations for people who really are struggling to have a little money of their own. And we live in a time of crisis that where people can't be given money and keep lending money for your project when they already lent it from before. And they don't really pay attention to the fact that what is he if he can contribute out of his own money? And he's not very clarification on, okay, so basically contribute this month. What celebrities, what well-known doctors have contributed? So it raised the question. But yet, it's got to be taken average, working, low, working, poor, poverty class to keep giving him money across the country for a project which they already funded, and he got $700,000 for the building. Okay. My question is, why doesn't he go and get a grant from the city or from some private or some individual who specializes in grants and grant writing to get some type of a grant? Why you have to keep coming up to the people, running some raffle just to get more money when they already gave you money? And rightfully so. And then a lot of people have pointed out some good things that they point out. What about the curriculum? What about the staff? What about the equipment? What about the furniture? What about the insurance on the building, inside and outside of the building? What about the past taxes that's on the building that's old? But these people who are steady defending Umar are not seeing the whole picture. And you have people that I have listened to, they have made great points. He don't believe in having a regular staff, that a combination of people who will be put on a board to help them work in these different arenas to get this school up and running. He wants to do it, sound like he's trying to do it all on his own, and he's so narcissistic. Even if someone did work with him, at some point, even if somebody did agree to work, they would see how much a narcissist he is and unrealistic he is. Now, these people who are specializing in these fields on how to work with different entities to get a school a proper for that magnitude school is running. And like I mentioned in the video, there was one video that he mentioned that he's trying to build a school over in Africa. And then he was talking to these two gentlemen about that. And that's why I made the one video. And I'm like, ain't this about a trip? So my version of it is like, okay, people keep give you money, but at some point, has any of these people who support them have used common sense? It takes all these different other projects to get the school up. You can't half-ass run a school. You can't have, I mean, what if the children get sick? What if a staff or children fall down and get injured in the school? What insurance is going to cover that? Who's going to cover their medical expenses? That's just in a loan for the children or staff that he had working up in there. And then we have to look at the fact that the taxes on the building. They said that have the taxes been paid on the building, and how is it going to get the money to keep continuing to pay the taxes every year? People who support Umar don't think about that, because you have to pay a tax every year for your school district. The third thing is just that you have to have supplies, and that's going to cost money. So he's just going to keep asking you for supplies, asking you for things, and trying to hopefully don't donate stuff. And using these so-called his book tour, is he going to take some of that book tour money and come up with it to pull his end of it, since he's asking the public for their input on basically donations, and that's unrealistically, people are not going to keep donating to you lest you produce something. If you ever see that on, for example, those charities for hospitals, if let's say St. Jude's, if you donate to something, you go to their website and they'll show you everywhere your money go to, and they'll break it down where your donations go to when you see someone on TV or on the internet, such as St. Jude Hospital for 6 children. Or if it's a situation like some kind of animal project, if this donation, you go to their website and they show you what donations go to what organization, what does it covers. It's a plan and everything. But this guy won't even give you a plan on what it is about. His words come out of his mouth. He don't have a professional way of detailing this is the accurate count for this. It's gonna have the accurate count for the books. This is gonna have activity. This gonna cover the teachers. He don't have a breakdown. It's all coming out of words. Most people break something down, and then they say, okay, this is how much we need left. He don't give you no paperwork. He just give you word of mouth. And what is he doing on his half to bring up the money? What effort is he doing on his half? He expect the people to keep supporting the single mothers who probably get some kind of assistance, whether it's through child support or do some governmental assistance, but to take care of their family. Or then he mocks that too. But yet these same broke people, what they get for the child, if they had a child have some disability, he mocks insensitive about that. You just can't keep going around donating for the building up a school. That's just and think that people just gonna keep donate. It's like when you're not really producing nothing and you're showing no effort in these other arenas. And then people who are in denial, they get mad because they're looking for this so-called black savior complex, like he's the black savior of the black movement, and they're not even thinking logic on that. You look with any organization, any nonprofit organization or any people who's trying to get up something, even if it's to build something for a playground, they'll break that down. If you wanted to build something for a park and for kids to swing, for the playground, they show you the material, they show you the layout, they show you the safety and the protocol of safety. So when children go out there and play, they have something grounded. They get a certain type of foam, so if they fall, they won't injure, and they have to have some type of city or some kind of county insurance just in case someone can say, my child will fall, and they can turn around and sue you. So that's what the insurance is for. And so if a child fall down, an adult gets sick, you don't think that they're going to sue? And if the building's not up to code, why would somebody want to risk their child putting in some freak accident happening in the building? But the supporters don't think about that. I mean, these people, and so when people point this out, and it's not just one individual like that was going back at it, or two individuals, or three individuals. Some of these individuals are making good points, and then the people who are staying neutral are trying to say, hey, this what they're pointing out to is much. And then you have the people who criticize it because they're making money off of, which is YouTube. Some people feel like they can contribute to their channel, but because they make good effort in pointing out like media work, like what you would pay for media. So at least whatever they spend their money on, whatever they contribute to their super chat, I'm pretty sure that it pays their internet bill, or at least is going to something. But people got question about the people who are, and that's automatically people give what they want to give, which is true enough. But what the difference between the giving between Umar and the giving between these other individuals, he keeps coming back and telling you over and over and over, here's this project for this. We want to put up this book, support my book for this, and support this for my book. And then he has some kind of raffle thing. And is that his way? Is he going to take some of that raffle money and you got signed up onto some type of account to spend $50 to $100 a month? Then he got some kind of thing, and then he throws insults at people because they critique him. I mean, it's just, I have sat back and just watched both sides. And the reason why some pointed out, because I think that people who's criticize him or critical of him, trying to show the people, look, open your brain. People don't do this when they open up a school. You take anybody who open up a school, what process that they do, or open up schools, whether they for white children or a all school for black children. They don't do that. They don't go around keep asking people for money. And there are other black schools, as some people pointed that out, and they got some type of funding, and they teach in the curriculum of African American studies and along with science, math, and everything else. But these people who support Umar are not thinking about that there are other black schools throughout, and they got websites, and they got a staff, they got a board, they have a lineup, and they have insurance on their buildings. They do the whole paperwork for tax write-off and all that stuff. And they have the curricular, they have the material, they have the staff for cafeteria to feed the children, they have a legitimate staff for equipment and stuff that students need, study material and things like that. They have it all laid out, and you see how the way they run. And they're not running to the YouTube or Facebook and talking about donate to me for this academy. There's a black school here in Ohio, in the city where I'm at, They didn't go to no website. I mean, they take Afrocentric studies at it's Afrocentric school. I mean, and there's no output whatever they teaching them. I mean, they teach kids the regular things that they need to apply to go to accredited colleges or trade school. I'm just saying, and these people are not, whoever who's supporting him, they're not critically thinking this. It took 10 years to get up a school where it took the average school to get in place, maybe within a 5 year period. Within 5 years, they got the school up and running. Someone planned it in probably the first year, laid out the blueprint in the second year, get all the material, the bids, the contractors, and everything to build the school from the ground up. They did within 2 or 3 years, the most. It took 10 years off a donation. Think about it, 10 years. Come on, man. And that's why I said these people who are criticizing the people who are criticizing him, they're not even thinking about that. It don't take the 10 years to put a whole plan like that together, to run a school. And then, basically, and this is my belief, and I've seen someone make this belief. My belief is that he's gonna take that money and gonna go to Africa when they. I mean, it's obviously he's gonna keep swimming along, and something's gonna happen to the point that he gonna skip the country probably. I'm telling you, it's like one of these people who are like a Bernie Madoff, and it's like, and people, no matter what, I bet you there was a time like someone like a Bernie Madoff or that guy from Enron. He make it sound so good. If you would tell the people back then that about like, I think you should reinvent. You should take your investment away. People wouldn't listen. No, this guy's legit. He has a record. He's doing good with hedge funds. People, if you would have told those people, people would not have believed you. If you would say, "Hey, man, this guy about to make off with it, the numbers don't sound right," people would try to warn people, but people are like, "No, you're wrong." Until the last minute, it all came down to when it crashed. People lost their savings and everything. Now what? In which these people who are on YouTube, some of these people was exposed. Like, look, when this thing crashed, your money gonna be lost. He keeps big and said that's what some people with this narcissistic mentality do. Study that person. That same thing, and Bernie Madoff and people like him. It's like it didn't face. He don't take no responsibility. I mean, he has a couple of children passed away. He had his wife, ended up leaving him, divorced him, and he still don't admit that he's wrong. And no matter what. So now he didn't cost people their livelihood, lost their homes, lost their savings. You have some older people that had to go back and live with their children, and it's the same way with the situation with Enron. Nobody would expect that when it happened to the people years ago. And look what the effect of Enron done. I'm pointing this out to tell you, look at the narcissistic personality of a person. And they just tell, and they thought before they were just investing, and they did all this sweet talking to the people. Don't worry about it, Bob. They'll bring up some false sheet, whatever. And what happened in the end? They come to find it was all pack of lies, and all them people lost their money, lost their saving. But, and I said this before, like I was saying this on my one video about Jay Morris. Black people don't have that kind of money to keep sucking out, keep being conned out of the community. We can't afford to lose that. White people can recover out of stuff like this. Some of them can't come back, and because the government will make sure they're gonna get their money back for them, whatever money that they get, whatever little money that they have. The ones that do, and people are persistent on getting their money back with result of things. So you're criticizing somebody who's moving in the same persona, and they're not showing you anything. They're not really persistent, and then they have a narcissist attitude when someone asks them legitimate questions. Now, I've seen in the case with Umar, there's some people that ask him some legitimate questions, like Lord Jamal, and it was a couple other people on there, and he just went off. Look at his character, and all these people who's trying to stand by, they're not even looking at his character. I mean, and people asking simple questions on how to weight a certain project, and even the Lord Jamal suggested, maybe take some advice on setting up a board, and so I'm trying to be with you, and he's just trying to be middle ground, but come with some sensibility. He didn't want to hear that. He didn't want no help. So, in other words, if he's not willing to take, at least have some logical suggestion, what makes he think that if you would support him, he's gonna listen to you? And people are not even thinking about that. I mean, but the people who are supporting Umar Johnson, you just caught up with this fantasy that that is a way. But sometimes you gotta look at, it's not just the so-called government, the white man. You gotta look at your own brother, man, because sometimes your own brother, sometimes somebody look like you can be just could be just as worse as somebody who's don't look like when it comes to taking something, getting something from your hard-earned dollar. That's just common sense. And so when you speak common sense to people, and that's why some people are making video, because they try and look, you're not using your common sense. In looking at this person, he's not being logic. And it's like all of a sudden you hating on somebody. I'm telling you, he's going to be probably one of them individuals that's going to skip the country. I mean, it's coming, because he's going to figure out when some people ride on his ass, whatever. He's going to just try to show it, just to bait you just a little bit here and a little bit there. Then someone showing out. It was one video with, I forgot who it was, that someone came by, they felt sorry for the building, and they cut the grass. And then I found out from a buddy of mine that was with was concluded with other contracts when it came to the HVAC situation. He asked for $250,000, and it was I believe it was on King Kong Conscious. It was a contract that it don't cost all that much to break it down. He even broke down, and the one young man, King Kong Conscious, he showed the unit, he showed the B units and everything that was put on those buildings. Then I had a buddy of mine who was a legitimate, he's a veteran in his services. When he was a veteran, he took up HVAC that backed up with the contractor who was online saying that it don't cost that, it costs about 25 to 30 grand to put all that stuff in there all together, and to get then you have to get a crane and everything. So he was backing up everything that one contractor, and there was actually another contractor that worked inside the building. He got a video that he showed 6 months prior. This is what he did with this building. It took what he did. He broke down the electrical work. And then when you seen it, and when he came back 6 months later. He showed what the electrical work, the drywall, all that stuff to bring the building up to code. And it took him 7 months to a year. And then when people offer Umar Johnson, they say, hey, well you we'll come and bring the crew down if you just pay for the material. And Leonard Arnold had about that. Actually had the man, and actually the man wrote a letter to him. And people who still didn't want, now still people wouldn't want to believe that. I mean, it's like, you have all this proof. What proof do you want that is something wrong? Why would you keep giving your money to a guy that's not producing nothing for you? And as far as the people who's asking for money because they making money off of his Then people choose because they like the entertainment, and the reason why they give them more material because they showing you this guy is people still giving money, and it's showing you how ridiculous it is that you giving money to an individual ain't producing nothing, and then they try to tell them something like, hey, but have you thought about logic and reasoning why it don't take 10 years? And then people get offended and they start going back at the people who's trying to make sense, and they're showing, hey, this person is, I'm trying to save you people some money who you sending money to, and he's letting other people know that, hey, look at this guy's personality. And then he used his own words out of his own mouth in previous past book signings, in different assignment, in some things that he personally said, because it's basically on a public platform like YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. So so it's access to everybody to see what's going on and what kind of layout is he doing. And he's still running the same scam. I need your brother, sister. I need your money for this. We got this going. And people are not logically thinking. And so the people who are so mind warped and brainwashed in witchcraft, they're not even thinking like with common sense. And so when people come with common sense, they get criticized. Who have a blogger who gets criticized for bringing some common sense, who have no taking on either side, but just use critical thinking. But it goes to show you the people who support Umar, they don't do critical thinking. They don't do anybody. And I'm telling you, he's one of the type of guys. I'm telling you. And I'm gonna give you some news to you. If he pulled that shit over there, pull this mess over in Africa, they don't handle things civilized like you. And he go talking, calling them coons and nigs and all this stuff like that, and they find out what it was, he'll get more than what he bargained for. So you pull that stuff over there, and they don't take kindly to people over there. They move at a different conundrum. I mean, they would physically come at you. Plus, you're not of their tribe, and you're not of their language. So, I would suggest don't pull that stuff over there. Them people don't play in that whatever part of Africa he's going to. They don't play that stuff. Some stuff can literally cost you. Can probably cost you your life. I'm that serious. And what the government gonna say? Because if you don't have no protective citizen right over scammer, they're going hard at the government. What to say that they won't go hard at an individual citizen who come to their country and swindling people? You have to think, but you're trying to build up this narrative of trying to be one of the greatest people like a Marcus Garvey or some individual like that. Well, Marcus Garvey didn't go around asking for donations, for one thing. People gave it to him, but he was able to strategy. He showed a plan how he did it. It come out of his own pocket, for one thing. So he didn't go around making people do that. That's number one thing. And he showed, and he had the people. He laid out a plan. Umar don't have a plan like a Marcus Garvey. Look at the background of Marcus Garvey, and look at Umar. You think he would do something like that? I'm just saying. Look, study. Look at the old film on the way how he built up and how the way he got the money for the ships, ready to take the people back that the contracted back to Africa. Look at them other leaders in the political arena. They didn't go around. Frederick doesn't go around asking for donations and calling people out and Sambos and Negroes and every other institute. Look at the man that he's so-called following. He's trying to put his on a level like that. You can't be like the African leaders over there, the ones who stood up for true justice, who truly was fighting, who truly laid their life on the line. There's no way you can put yourself at a level like that. Even the ones who were educated, they had they know how to be governed. They let people get riled up under their skin and call them out their name, and then just say one thing about, go with every wind of doctrine. They stay one course, one subject, one topic. He's going in every direction, running every con game. But they use the legends of these people who did legitimate things, who didn't go around trying to scam their own people. They was trying to save their own people, literally save them, not trying to make other people feel bad because they don't support them. They found alternative ways, the ones who want to support them. Look at the difference, and you try to put him on the same level as that. It goes to show you a lot of black folks don't really read and research Marcus Garvey, and the ones that do is trying to tell you that they studied, they've been over to Africa, they've been to 10 different countries in Africa, and they study their leaders, know that their personality is not like this guy. They wouldn't do nothing like that. But these people who so mind warp, see what it is. Some people black people will grab on to anything because now we in this woke stage of awakening, but they won't research and do stuff on their own. They just follow what anybody else do instead of going researching and find out who you really are. Find out what your bloodline. Find out not only what your bloodline, but what your character is with the bloodline. Because there are some people who turned against other people, other tribes. What tribe do you represent? And then you got to look at the individual. Are they doing it for their own gain, or are they doing it for their own people? And then it's just, how can you be a prince when you're not nominated? Who nominated you to be Prince of Pan-Africanist? Don't you have to have some legitimate? Let's say if I'm going to be a prince over in Africa, first of all, I have to be selected from a committee of people to be a prince and given a title. What prince? I'm just saying, what prince? What organization denominated that? And then if you was a Pan-Africanist, your character have to show like any other leadership of any organization. Look at the character, and this is where the bloggers and the videos say, look at this man's character. You calling him and he's acting like this. He's coming after people with innocent women with money, taking money out their pocket, feeding their children, and ain't no strong man who's able to stand with them and call out and see this stuff, because there's people in New York and California that see people run all kind of game and they use some trauma to manipulate to get the things of what they want. They try to build themselves up, and they'll use racism, they use prejudice as a clear, even in the midst of this trauma of someone, young black people dying, to uplift themselves. Then there's one minute they flip-flop it. They saw an article like this, him, and next minute, but he's way over here. I'm just surprised how many people are that dumb that they're just so caught up in emotion, they're not caught up in logic. So a lot of people who support Umar Johnson are not logic. They don't use logic. They just use emotion. That's why they can be manipulated from one direction to the other direction. That's the reason why, because they don't think with logic. And people who are like him, they see something, and when you see some of these conscious people, they're not looking at the logically. People who are black and they probe, and they about their stand for their people, by their people, they study. They study. If they say that they pro-black, they pro-black. If they are, I mean, they show it, they live it, they walk it, they breathe it. For example, let's just say someone like a black militia, those black militias, they stand, they walk it. They're not just saying that they are, and they're not out there being cocky. And they step to the front, and they balance in what the assessment is, and they make sure that the people are balanced. So if you proud to be of your African heritage, they're balanced. They're balanced when they go talk to other people who question it. No matter if it's the Nation of Islam, no matter if it's certain Hebraic groups, or they balance. You don't see this crazy nonsense. See, a lot of people just as screwed up as the people that they criticize of the other nations. Just look at their character. Their character's like, wait a minute. After a while, when you get, they'll come up with some truth, but they come out with truth, but their character don't match up with it. When you look at Malcolm X, he was balanced. When you look at Medgar Evers, he was balanced. When you look at Martin Luther King, whatever your opinion is, he was balanced. When you look at Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, look at all your black leaders. They were balanced. They wasn't all half cocked over this way. They had a mission. They were always balanced. You might not agree with certain things that they political, but they didn't come out there just calling each other names and calling each other racial names and feeling along with this other stereotype. Oh, I'm gonna call this black person a coon. He's a nigga. You know, he's a nigga coon and all this stuff like that. But you hear, and you supposed to be proud of your people, but yet you hear black leaders, they didn't talk like that in the past. They did not talk like that. Especially loving another black man and loving black women and loving their black community. They didn't talk like that. And so it's funny how people who talk like that, saying that they probably black, they don't even know what black culture is. Because black culture is not taking up the same thing, the same speech as white people do. They describe the bad black people is what they would claim. They don't call each other the N-word. They don't call each other the C-word. They call them the coon. They don't call each other. And even if we have a separate disagreement, I call you any other word, but if I'm calling you the same racial epithet words that were put on our people, how does that make me? How does that make me pro-black? How does that make me? So this is the mind warp. This is crazy talk. I mean, you can't be proud of. Okay, you get called by a demographic of people when a black person offend them. You've been called, for example, nigger so much. This is a fact that black people have put it in their own culture, and they call each other nigger. But then we take the word that way, and we make it sound cool. But they forget that the meaning is still the same. I mean, it's the same way as if it's a cuss word. If you cuss at somebody, say, "Hey, that's a foul mouth. You have a foul mouth," degenerative language. I don't have a foul mouth, degenerative language. But if you keep saying "mf'er" and "a-hole" and "g damn," you have a foul mouth. No matter how the way you put it. Or I'm a Hebrew. Well, you're a Hebrew. You use a foul mouth. You still foul mouth. And if you represent being of the Most High, you don't have to be foul mouthed about it, and be put into your speech just to get your point across. The character don't matches the person. So people and I think that we're a society that we're trying to justify our anger, just like we accuse someone who was a racist bigot, Klan white nationalist. You in the same mode spirit as them. You in the same, because you just these doggone immigrants and these doggone homosexuals and these doggone blacks. They you like, man, that's ignorant. But yet you got some black people who have the same ignorant mentality as they do. This is the truth. Is that they call you out their own people because they don't have a simple of agreement with them. And then they teach their own kids, and the next thing you know, you hear their own kids calling each other N words and coon words, because kids watch stuff like that. Your future kids, and so they get mad, they get offended. The next thing you know, they pull a gun on each other, and at the 30, you're 13, 14, 15 years old. That's why you're seeing all these deaths. See, that's why I'm trying to say something to you. Your mouth can be your worst enemy. And whatever it's like, that's why I believe the Bible is true. Words take life. So whatever you speak, even with the music you listen to, it takes life. It gives you whatever you listen to, whatever you speak, you become. Whatever come out your come out your very, very being, your heart. And you see a lot of flip-floppy people like that on social media. They 1 minute they this way, next minute they that way. And he's one of them. He's flip-floppy, man. It's not logical. He sound like he sound logical when he giving you the history and giving you this and the cause. He might read a couple books, and don't be so forsaken about because he got some knowledge, but where's his character? Where does the character meet the knowledge? Where does the character meet all the way through? It's like for some people, and maybe it's like 1 minute someone who say that they love Jesus, they go to church, everything. Soon as they close the Bible, step out of church, they feel like God like just turned off the heavens, and they can just act like a devil how they really want to. It's like, wait a minute, but you just got done preaching the love of God and you saying, articulating yourself, but yet they go back to that. Because they don't want to seem different. They don't be separated as an individual being. They feel like if I can't communicate this way, then I'm going to be staying out. Well, God's people stand out from the world. They don't talk like that. And that's the way logic and sense when you're trying to get people's attention, it will take you seriously by your action. And the reason why they're not, even if he did, they're not. Some people are going to support him. It's not because of what social media is. You have to sit back and examine for yourself. What is the true character of this person? I'm going to support him in his school. Look how the way his character is when people ask him simple questions about the school, and then they make some suggestion. Well, why don't you try this route? And then he gets in defense mode, a super defense mode, and saying, "Who? I did this. I built this up. I built this. I done it. I did this. Who have done it in the whole world?" And I'm looking at him and watching Lord Jamal, and I'm like, wow, he's exposing himself. Look at the character. That's what people keep telling you, making these videos. That's why they probably make, because they make it, because he's put his own dysfunction. He's used his own dysfunction, and people are showing this is his dysfunction. And one brother was only balancing. That brother needs some help. I saw one young brother who make a video. He just said, this brother, he's misguided on some information. This brother, Umar Johnson, he needs some help. He was the only one because he knew that it's by his character. Because it was a young brother. The thing is, Savior. He'd been over to Africa. He'd been around different places. Many other people been to Africa and different parts of Africa. Been around leaders and been across the world and talked with people. And coming back and seeing that he's been over there, and they come back and tell him how this man's character is. This man don't have no good character. He's carrying his ego and arrogant, narcissistic Western mindset, and even over in Britain, whatever. There's certain people don't like him over there because he had his ego. I'm telling you, there's other people have saying it, but so people who are supporting Umar do not want to face that fact that when you step outside the United States and have that same kind of attitude and personality, it can get you hurt or get you killed. So that's why it's good that some people, they need to stay in America, and there's some people are like that. If they're over there, they need to get their butt out of that country, whatever country it is, because people don't take kindly, and some people are not civilized dealing with someone's arrogant and ego. And you go on talking to people crazy over there and not having a respect for them and their culture and well as a human being. They could literally get you killed or get you hurt, get you jumped on, because some people don't play that. And you can talk all big and bad and tough, but there's some people that will take it to a whole different level. There's some people in this world is crazier. I always say this. I may work on some people, but when someone step to the plate, step to your face, and confront you and say, get crazy, and then 10 times crazier than you is, then what do you, and they let you know. Now talk to me in my face like I'm crazy. But not that to advocate violence, but when you come off like that, you're going to be sorry what you get. That's why you have to use wisdom. And a lot of people, when you being the proper leader, is you have to be balanced even with your anger and what you say. Even if you detractors or people who will criticize you, you have to be. That's what they were. They were criticized. Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. He didn't call them out their name. That's what you can learn from Malcolm X. And a lot of black people, black men, can learn from that. Study the whole character of Malcolm X. Study the whole character of Martin Luther King. Look at those old videos. Look at the one. They went over the top when they had to stay balanced. Look at the character of Marcus Garvey. Don't just what he did. Watch his demeanor. Watch when they had to get angry. If they had with words, it was constructive. Even if it was dealing with one of their own people, they didn't call each other out. Martin Luther King didn't call Malcolm X out of his name. Malcolm X didn't call Martin Luther King out of his name when they had typically difficult two differences of opinion on the way the justice system was dealing with black people. This is what some black people don't like to point this out. They were civilized, and it's too bad that you have black men don't have the civilized, not to have the civilized mentality, whether they come to social media or not. They're not civilized like them are. A leader is civilized. Even when his anger is civilized. Even when he's angry. Even when you said some things was offensive to him. He know how to handle himself. That's what made him great. And that's probably how the way the Nation of Islam taught Malcolm X. Just when people throw insults at you, throw insults at the Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's a perfect example. He don't go out there and call a bunch of people out, whatever. But if it's something misjustice in the black community, he does it in he watches words. Maybe he didn't do that when his younger life, but he had some sense enough to know. And what are your opinion on Minister Louis Farrakhan? Right or left? But look what the words he said to today. And you can't say that we're gonna go out there and rebel against the government, jump on some white people. He don't talk like that. He don't talk like that. He just exposed what it is. So I'm saying you don't see him getting. When he get angry, it's angry and just, but it's angry. It will. I'll watch these people over time. And Umar Johnson don't have no bridle. He's not bridle. He's not balanced. So you're gonna be, and Louis Farrakhan didn't have to say, I'm the biggest bad of all time. Nation of Islam leader. He don't do that. Even the people under him don't do that. I'm just using him as an example. Why you have to feel like it's almost like Are you trying to feel inadequate that you have to say that I got to be the first? We're the first. We're the first. The Nation of Islam know that. I'm just using them as an example. They know that what they've done. They don't have to go around bragging. Whether if brothers in the Hebrew camp, they don't have to go around bragging. If they know what they are, they know what they can do. I think that you don't have to tell somebody. It's almost like a childhood thing, or like a so-called manhood. Like, I got to be the best lover of all the men. To ask the women, I'm the best lover of all the men. I'm just using that as an example. It's kind of funny. I'm used because it's almost on a level like that. If you are a good lover, I'm just using it as a worldly. If women would know you're a good lover, if you want to spread yourself out that way, the women in your past would know you were a good lover. You don't have to go around saying, I'm the best lover in the world. Then the woman be like, no, no, he wouldn't. And she embarrassed your behind and said, no, he wasn't the best lover. No, I wouldn't. He didn't really fulfill my arousement. That's embarrassing. And so sometimes it's like, dang. And they make talk shows about that. But it's almost like when I look at him, that's that mindset to try to prove to other men. It's like, dang, and you look at more and other men, real men saying, bruh, you looking like a fool. Back down. Your personality is looking like a fool. When you have a man like Humble King saying, you looking like a fool. And other men saying this, no, you sound ridiculous. And I don't like the fact that you take advantage of people who don't have the logically to see this. I'm just using an example. And then they attack somebody and accuse them. Now you got to flip it because they choose to make a video showing your dysfunction. And say, well, why is he so obsessed with making? Because that man was trying to show to people, hey, this man's not balanced, like Leonard Arnold says. He's just showing he's not balanced. It has nothing to do with that. But people wanted, and then there was people requesting on his video to show more of his content. So it was his audience. So that's what Leonard Arnold's audience wanted. And they liked the material, and he had. Then they saw the proof. Then they saw the facts. Then he showed the video. Him actually saying something. His audience see it for themselves. Like, what the? Whoa! He didn't edit it. He played the whole video out. Then he'll throw in his commentary, just like Monty Woodgrain. He'll throw in his commentary. He take you right to the school, and people still don't believe it. It's like, damn. And people still hating him. Why you keep picking at him? Because they keep picking at his character. Because he give them more material. He get more evasive. He's being evasive about it. People with logic come to him. And let's say the ones that do, let's say, well, okay, we're going to try to be balanced and figure out what's really going on. And when the people who are not judging and try to give him a benefit of doubt, he goes off on them. Like Lord Jamal. Just ask him some basic question, being balanced, and you should see. And so that's what happened. So the people the reason why his book signing was canceled, like people looking at that video of that interview, it was on no one else's video. It was Lord Jamal's video. So Umar was his own destruction. His own. We try to tell you his own words was his own on that video, and you might have accused African Svengali or Leonard Arnold or them other people like that they're going too overboard. But when someone who's not going too overboard saying, okay, what about the people saying, I'm not going to go that direction, but what's really going on with the school? And why is he going through this direction, going this direction? And saying, well, and then when someone, well, let me help you out with suggestion. Then you see his ego rise up. And then the people who are offended got offended about that, or someone make a blog about it, they get offended at the people who's making a blog about it. But the person, I'm not trying to take on either side. I'm just showing you the dysfunction of this person's character. They just showing you that this character. People don't like seeing people get ripped off, and people got a right to know that, hey, is this something? If someone was trying to sell you a product, and you have another person that's trying to show you, and it be one, two people like, okay, that's your opinion, but you got another person showing you the dysfunction. You got another person showing you actual proof. You got another person showing you the video saying something. This person doing it, and they have, after a while, you see, and at that time, that period, this is what this person said, and they didn't edit, they didn't take out, they didn't add in or add on. They showed you the whole video. Then they show this person's demeanor, and you're going to, then the people who stick, you're going to still support that. So maybe it's something wrong with the people. It's something wrong with them. Maybe they have his spirit and they're not even thinking logic. And it's to think about, who takes 10 years to open up a school? No one takes 10 years to open up a school. When they opened up schools within two or 3 years, when they built rehab a building or built a building ground up, and they have the funds, and they didn't have to do it all going to the average public to go and asking for money. People don't think. They don't use logic. They don't do research. They just go by it. They believe in anything. They don't, and I said basically they don't go, at least not just one person's video, but people who have a logic view of the video. And it was not the ones just come at him. You can might say, well, Leonard Arnold or Arthur Spingali, it must be something personal with them. Okay, let's say that if that was the case. What about Lord Jamal? He don't have nothing personal against Umar. What about there was one couple of ladies who he went on their channel. They didn't have nothing logical about. He went on that time. He went on Roller Martin years ago, and it was a simple of the different of opinion. When Roller Martin was on, look how the way he carried on back then, and he called the man on name. I mean, Roller Martin, which I don't agree with everything that he do, but that's a professional. You on main TV, and just because another black person have a degree, disagree with the way you handling things, you gonna call that man out of his name? Again, you picking up your slave master's mindset. You can't be proud to be black and pick up your slave master's mindset. It's not logical to pick up the slave master, the same mindset that call you a slave. That's how racism is. It has made black people be prejudiced against black people. The very words, and now when I said earlier that to the point that you take a word and you use it against your own people, and then when someone from these other nations pick you up and call you out your word, out your name, because you put it in the music, you put it in the joke, you put it in the rap video, and you say that's a black American culture. This part. And you use your own words, and you can't get mad when someone pointed out, even if it was a white person or a Latino person pointed some things out. Oh man, you guess it because they don't want to see. No, they see the same bull crap. They see the character of a person. There's some people that don't just see the cover; they see the character. And sometimes, as people, it's my tribe what I look like against your tribe what you look like. But and sometimes some things are just common sense and logic. Well, you don't come from my hood. Well, every hood, every poor poverty neighborhood across America and in certain parts of the world is the same. You can't tell some black people that because they think just because they've been in their block for so long and they part of the sea on this side of town, they don't think something bigger. It's the same problem, same issue all over. You ain't the first, and you won't be the last. Whatever's going on in Mississippi, struggling to get a hood in Mississippi is a hood struggle in Chicago. Whatever the hood situation in Chicago, is a hood situation in LA, Los Angeles, California, Seattle, Washington, no matter some bump up city in middle Kansas. The hood is the same. It's the same issues. It's the same poverty. It's the same situation. Is you're poor. There's a certain attitude against the black people. There's a certain attitude. You see the same. If you look on different videos, same thing, different parts of the country, same issue. So we all in this together. And you don't need someone to come in there taking advantage of you when you already trying to struggle and make it, and using someone that look like you, manipulating you, using trauma that someone that look like you just come out of an injustice situation. You don't need somebody riding your coattail and trying to pump you up with something. You need someone to come in with a true, who stand by with good character, who stand by with good word, whose character is balanced, that when they see injustice, they're not using pain and trauma as a mean to try to get over on you people. Because that's just about as way as someone is the opposite people who will use, they make a mockery of making fun of black people and using them to gain their own riches. They do. You have black. So in other words, you have black people that are doing the same thing as these other people do. They make the money and dysfunction off of other black people. So you got black people that do that. So they're coming in with the con and cane. So they'll criticize what that person's doing, but they end up doing the same thing. What they're doing by using the magnitude. Well, let me come with a sales gain. Let me come with some marketing gain, and I use these mind tricks to get you to see that, yeah, I feel your pain, brother. I come from the same kind of hood, but you hear all and we have a good discussion. By the way, I'm trying to open up an organization, and then in the organization this, and this, and I'm not showing you no proof, no evidence, and anything, and I go across the country using some kind of method. Now you already see people taking advantage of people in your community. A charlatan comes along. That's why a charlatan is not always someone of the opposite color. It's a charlatan can look like your kin, from your own kin, look like your own skin, come in like a charlatan and manipulating. And this was frustrating. This is the reason why some black people don't want to support other black people, because you got some black people that want to be a charlatan, and they manipulate and they use pain for their own gain. They're not really looking out for their own people, and they making a bad example for the people who are truly fighting for black people. They were really trying to fight, that put their life on the line, that the government really came after because they were doing the right thing. Them the real soldiers, whether they were black women or black men, they were real, and they didn't, because they were really doing something, and people can back them up because they had a testimony of people like the Black Panthers. They were feeding kids, they were educating kids. They weren't concerned with the thing. They didn't go around. Look at the late 60s and early 70s. That's what they did. They didn't go around manipulating people. You didn't have somebody coming out the community manipulating people. They stood by what they stand for. That was some form of leadership. They had a problem. Listen, and it shows you that, and they would take the camera crew, and you see what the Black Panthers was about. They were feeding and they're encouraging the youth. These was real examples. That's what I'm saying. They wasn't just full of talk back then. Them people, they did what they said that they're gonna do. But you got a lot of black people that's so scholared up online. They know from commit to hope tap to everything else. But what are they doing for their own community? What are they doing for the future generations? That's not you know about the past, but what are you doing for the future of your people? Because it's good to learn about the past, but what are you doing to help your people out now? And it's very few, and then the black people who do, they're not getting this, they're not on social media. The ones who do, they're unnamed, unheard of. The ones who's behind the scenes. But we're not paying attention to them. We're paying attention to the clowns who's trying to, manipulate and use trauma. Just like they accuse what they call the small hats and other people, but some black people doing the same thing as the small hats and other people in Africa. But now they use it. Now you have people that it's almost like someone had picked the game. Like, okay, you're gonna accuse those pastors of taking people's money, but yet you have other people using black pride and black power as the same thing as the ministers doing in the church, pastors doing in the church that's getting money. So they turn out to be the modern day, in their own way, lecturers and sell merchandise and stuff. And it's kind of funny, about half of African Americans, a good percentage of them don't know where their lineage come from, because some of us don't research. You even some do, some of us do, and some of us don't. Let's be realistic. And then the tribes, then you don't know what tribes would get along when the ones that didn't get along. Because once we got to America, there's some of us that turned against some of us over here. Because they had that tribal mentality. It wasn't not just this so-called, and this is another thing about, someone from Africa, then it's this mythology. So every 55 countries and out of how many tribes in Africa turned against all of us and left us over here, and that's another ignorant. That so you get mad at someone that come from Africa. You don't even know. You probably even don't know what tribes that did it. So now you just mad at any person that come from Africa because they has got some advantage, and we don't even know what tribe that is. But again, it's like, okay, now we come into the revelation, and then you have the people that take that same egotistical, and now they're trying to put it on the continent. Now now it's bad enough that people on the continent got to deal with their egotistical people. They don't need, and they got to deal with the Chinese. They got to deal with the Europeans and the white Americans. They don't need no black. And I hope that this guy don't between black Americans gonna go with that egotistical attitude. That's the last thing they need. And it should be same thing to come over here. But I say this, you don't need someone like Umar Johnson over there. You don't. Because look like I said, look at the balance of the individual. In the same way, and they're gonna see if he go to Africa and he get among those locals and none those people, and just because they ask him something like a personal question like they do over here, he go flying off the handle. They might take it a whole different step further. So it's something to think about. You need to check his ego over here before you go over there, because they don't play. They don't play with you. From what I've seen. Spiritually, they won't play with you. They can mess you could do something over there. They can mess your mind up. They don't have to mess your body up. They can mess your mind up. Spiritually, just something to think about. So, I say this and conclude with this video. Think about. Look at the character. If you're black or anybody listening to this video, before you judge me, go back and study the character of the Martin Luther Kings. Go back, study the character of Malcolm X. Go back and watch them. That's how you ever see how some people be a good actor. You know how they become. Denzel Washington became a good actor, and other people, they study the character. What does a character mean? That's what make a good performance. Study the character. So I hope you all take note of this video. Till next time, you guys be blessed out there, and watch who you support, and if they real or not. If they got bad character, you'll know it. That's why I made this video. And watch the conclusion. What's going to happen? Keep your eyes open, because some of the people are probably not. They're not lying to you. They're showing the character, not for nothing personal. Have a good day, wherever you're at.